The Athletics have been around since 1901, and when I say around, they've been around, starting in Philadelphia, moving to Kansas City, then to Oakland, now they're in Sacramento, about to move to their fifth city, to one that already has two pro sports teams. Me, I say move to Bakersfield. Not as hot as Las Vegas, with 41% less violent crime. So let's go back to the end of the 1955 baseball season, and San Francisco Seals team president Damon Miller and his so-called little corporation are hurting for money. So the man of the moment, who is a 34-year-old career minor league pitcher, is packaged up with Mike Baxis and Dave Melton and sold to the Kansas City A's for $75,000. So after pitching in the minors for several years, he'll only have to wait several weeks over the winter before heading down to his first big league camp. And when most players are taking off their MLB uniform for the last time at the age of 34, he's putting one on for the first time as a middle-aged pitcher from Choctaw, Arkansas, with nothing to lose, knowing he's just got to make it through spring training. And he did, and is now a member of the Kansas City Athletics. I've profiled a few pitchers whose MLB debut started out by giving up a bunch of hits and maybe a few home runs in their first inning, but would come right back and in the next inning pitch like an all-star, in the process sitting down some of the best hitters in the league. The pitcher I'm talking about today, he did just that. But like some rookies that are sent back down to the minors, they never return. Their MLB debut would also be their swan song in the big show. Such is the case of William D. Bradford. Nickname. Like most Williams, he goes by Bill and does not disclose his middle name. MLB debut 1956, born in Arkansas 1921 and would pass away there 78 years later. He grew into a 6'2", 180-pound pitcher, and after high school attended Arkansas State Teachers College before joining the Navy to serve his country during World War II. And upon his discharge, he was discovered pitching semi-pro ball in Sacramento, signing his first pro contract much later than most at the age of 27. Back in 1949 with the Yakima Bears Class B Western International League. They placed first with Bill going 13-9, pitching 15 complete games with 3 shutouts, and was just as good for the Bears in 1950. He started out the 1951 season in the Eastern League with Yankees Class A affiliate, the Binghamton Triplets, going 14-11, starting 24 games, completing 17 of them. He had 4 shutouts, and his ERA was in the low 2s. The next 4 seasons were spent with the Seals, who at this time were in open classification. Bill went 15-11 in 1952, starting 31 games, completing 9 with 2 shutouts. In his first 7 seasons of pro ball, Bill D. Bradford would have more wins than losses. Over the years, he played with a young Moose Skowron, a teenage Johnny Blanchard while on the Triplets, played with Elmer Singleton and Ted Beard while on the Seals, Gil Cohen on the 56 Minneapolis Millers, and when on the Buffalo Bisons, played with Luke Easter, who back in 1950 himself was a 34-year-old MLB rookie. During Bill's time with the Athletics, he was teammates with Hall of Famer Enos Slaughter, Tommy Lasorda, and 6 other A's players I've already profiled, including Mike Baxis, who Bill D. played with on 4 different teams during his career before retiring in 1958 at the age of 36, with a minor league record of 90-77 in his 351 appearances, with only 1 appearance in the majors. And what do I always say? 1 is better than none. And like most bios that I read, they all have the standard ending that goes something like this. After his baseball days, Bill returned home to Arkansas, where he worked in law enforcement and sold real estate. Okay, selling real estate, I get that. But just saying worked in law enforcement is pretty vague and can mean anything from a Galleria mall cop with a walkie-talkie to an FBI agent wearing a bulletproof vest. I figure Bill D was something in between, but those are the kind of details you want to know as a kid before you pick your role model. It's all about the choices we make in life, but some things you don't get to choose. We can't pick our dad nor his occupation. Not all moms get to serve up steak and chocolate cake as your FBI dad tells you exciting dinner time stories about catching crooks. While on the other side of town, your divorced mall cop dad heats up a couple of frozen burritos and tells you about the new girl that's working at Hot Dog on a Stick. It was April 24th, 1956, when Bill Bradford would finally make his long awaited MLB debut. Most pitchers are already resigned to the minors by age 30, with most out of the game by Bill's age. And here he is, making his first appearance in a big league game at the age of 34. The old better late than never. But at this moment, probably thinking if he does well, he might hold on in the big show as a reliever. So on this particular day at Kansas City A's Municipal Stadium against the visiting Detroit Tigers, Bill D was put in the game to start the 8th inning, and now starts that long walk out of the bullpen and heads towards a big league mound for the first time in front of an A's home crowd that has never seen him pitch. Being the new guy on the team, he'd like to make a good impression. He doesn't. The first batter he faces, Ray Boone, hits a home run to deep left field. That's gotta hurt. You've been waiting 7 seasons in the minors, and the first batter you face in the big leagues, he goes yard on you. Sure, that was a possibility, but you don't expect it. And chalk it up to nerves, and hope everybody else in the park does too. Besides, Bill wasn't the first pitcher to give up a homer in his MLB debut to the first batter he faced, and he wouldn't be the last. He'll settle down and get the next 2 batters to both ground out, but the 4th batter, Reno Bertoia, hits a home run, also to deep left field. That would have been nice if it was caught to end the inning, but it went over the wall. Bill doesn't help his case when he walks the next batter, Tigers pitcher Steve Gromek. Walking the opposing pitcher is never a good look, but he'll get out of the inning by getting another ground out. As he steps off the mound and heads to the dugout, Bill has to be wondering if he'll ever see another inning in the majors. Can't wonder too long. He's got to keep his head in the game in case A's manager Lou Boudreau sends him back out to pitch the 9th. And he does. So the rookie gets a chance to redeem himself and prove it was just a case of the jitters, and he belongs in the senior circuit, even if he is considered a senior himself by baseball standards. As a player, you can't ask for more than a second chance. Not all players get that, with many spending the rest of their lives wishing they got one, saying or claiming that was all they needed. Bill Bradford is one of those career minor league pitchers that made it to the big show, got his shot, pitched a couple of innings, but it just wasn't good enough. And his MLB stat line shows this. What isn't seen on that stat line is how he went back out to the mound in front of that home crowd and had a 3-up, 3-down 9th inning. That would have to be told by those who were there and by Bill D himself. Because when he comes back out to pitch that 9th inning, he would have a nice story to tell about the one time back in April of '56 when he was in the big leagues and pitched to a future Hall of Famer, a big brute, and an all-star. And he held his own with all 3. So as Bill heads back out to the mound, he already knows who he's gonna face. The future Hall of Famer, Tigers' 21-year-old phenom, Al Kaline, who skipped the minors and went straight to the majors, was last year's batting champ and a starter in the All-Star game. He's on deck swinging a bat. While the big brute, Earl Torgy Torgerson, is doing the same thing at the plate. And as Torgy is digging in, who for a decade was a well-known partier with a temper and punched out a few players over the years, including his own, a few service members, and any big mouth on the street. Bill D knows hitting Torgy would be a mistake. Bill also knows the other batter waiting to come up, all-star Harvey Keene, who would lead the league in hits for 1956. Yeah, this could get ugly for the 34-year-old rookie pitcher who just had a very sketchy first appearance. But on that spring day in Kansas City, Bill D. Bradford went back out to the mound and threw a perfect 1-2-3 inning, in the process sitting down 2 of the best hitters in the game. It couldn't have gone better in his dreams. But in his dreams, he would have won that game and gone on to pitch for a few years in the big leagues. But in truth, for that to happen, he'd have to pitch like he did in that 9th inning in his next outing. But in reality, there would be no next outing for Bill Bradford, and he never appeared in the majors again.